Guess I get to see it with my own eyes. Jackpot.
What's going on, guys? My name is RBG and we are back with more coverage on Devil May Cry 5. This is something that I've been meaning to cover since last week, but I sort of got sidetracked by other news that I felt was more mandatory to talk about. And now that things have calmed down, I'm going to briefly give my thoughts on a particular interview. But before I get into the gist of this discussion, I'm proud to announce that I am now an Amazon associate / affiliate. This platform allows me to promote certain items that I think will pique your interest, and one of the main items I think you will be interested in is the Devil May Cry graphics art book titled 3142. Those specific numbers represent the actual chronology the games are set in, and it's packed with tons of art designs, unused concepts, and exclusive interviews from the devs and artists. I also have links for other DMC related media that'll get you caught up to speed on the story before the newest game comes out. The links will be in the description and pinned in the comments, so check them out if you're interested. But getting back on track, I came across an interesting article that might come off a little controversial, and it's related to Ninja Theory's DmC Devil May Cry reboot. This is something that's been brought up profusely for better or for worse, and for whatever reason, DMC5's lead developer seems to have a deep infatuation with that particular title. In one of my earlier videos, I talked about how Hideaki Itsuno was heavily inspired by DmC Devil May Cry, giving it praise for its stylish gameplay and going so far as to say it's his favorite Devil May Cry game to date. And this opinion had a lot of fans divided since Itsuno said things prior that alluded to him dissing the reboot. Like we saw him saying DmC is back after the new game was revealed at E3. And there's even an interview where he jokes about Ninja Theory having a thing for Asians in the graphics art book I showcased earlier. So he's either throwing jabs at the reboot, or a lot of things he said about it were probably taken out of context. I know there are a ton of fans who want him to downright trash that game due to its overall direction with the story, but I don't necessarily hate it as much as other fans do. What I will say is that the game would have gotten a much warmer reception if it was titled something other than DmC. I wouldn't have necessarily minded if it was set in the same universe if the characters were completely brand new. The idea of having an angel and demon hybrid hunter was really awesome, and it should have been the main premise, as opposed to trying to give the classic underpinnings of Devil May Cry a realistic approach. Unbeknownst to most of the fans, Ninja Theory actually wanted to stay true to the original, but Capcom insisted that they change it up as much as possible. And I honestly have to give them credit because they took creative liberties of adding certain elements from the mangas and novels that didn't make it into the previous games. And the gameplay, although it wasn't perfect, it was something that shined through, especially in the definitive edition. And you can tell that Itsuno took some of the subtle elements and injected them into Devil May Cry 5, like the slow motion kill cams and the overall gritty aesthetic. Even the load screens where you're able to practice some of your combos. So you can definitely see that the narrative leans more towards Itsuno showing more favor towards the reboot. This leads me to one of his latest interviews, because apparently Itsuno's love for DmC stems even further than we thought. According to a website called Video Games 24/7, Itsuno originally considered making a sequel to the reboot before DmC5 was even thought of. And this is a big surprise because you would assume that he and the team at Capcom would want to distance themselves as far away from that as possible, especially given the amount of backlash it received. But I guess he loved it so much he was inspired to take some of the newly introduced elements and expand upon them. Looking at the game's ending, you can definitely tell the seeds were planted for a follow-up game, and I think it would have ultimately got that if the sales hit that 2 million copy threshold like Capcom hoped they would. As I've mentioned, it wasn't really a bad game if you look at it beyond the story and concept changes. It received generally positive reviews with critics praising the new gameplay mechanics. And this is something that I don't necessarily agree with, but some critics actually loved the fact that Dante's charismatic personality was dialed down, going so far as to say that he was more relatable and realistic. So the game wasn't that bad. But anyways, Hideaki says this: I really want to make a DmC Devil May Cry 2 after the first one, and I was really pumped to do it. And then that didn't happen. So when it came time to make a new game, we said, alright, let's make Devil May Cry 5. We had these people that didn't work on DmC and people that did. Because we had those two sides mixing, it was like, alright, we're gonna make Devil May Cry 5. It's not gonna be a sequel to DmC, but we definitely want to do what we can do to take what we learned from that game too. So this pretty much confirms that Hideaki Itsuno is injecting a lot of elements from the reboot like I've stated before. I'm really hyped to see how well the different styles mesh with some of the newer weapons. I think it's awesome that he actually wanted to push ahead with what Ninja Theory had brought to the table, because we've seen in past instances how he was able to take certain mechanics from Devil May Cry 2 and polish them up in future entries. It kinda sucks that his team and Ninja Theory couldn't come together again before Microsoft bought them out, but it's good that they were able to rally up some of the members who had a little experience on the reboot. Asano goes on to say this: one thing, if you think about it, it probably wouldn't make sense to have these guys make a DMC 2. That's something that Ninja Theory should collaborate with Capcom on, you know? It would be different. It would lose something if we tried to do that only in Osaka. So it really made sense that we could go to a sequel to DMC 4. It's something that people in Osaka have more of a frame of reference for. And I think that was a pretty reasonable argument to make. If Asano and his team were to continue with the reboot, the sequel probably wouldn't be as Ninja Theory envisioned it. The Devil May Cry series is already a convoluted entity in itself, given that there have been so many hands on its story. But anyways, I didn't want to ramble on too long. I just wanted to share that bit of news and give my take on it. I'm very excited to see how much of the influences from the reboot are going to roll over into DMC 5, especially with Dante's playstyle. I'm really loving how all the weapons in his arsenal have their own dodge animations. Like his Coyote A shotgun, you can actually perform these cool looking stylish dodge slides. And it looks like it even has a move similar to Dante's Stinger. But with that, I'm going to end the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on future content. But if you really enjoyed the video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it on social media outlets with all your friends and followers. Also, don't forget to check out the items I mentioned in my Amazon affiliate link. You don't even have to necessarily buy anything, simply clicking the links will help. But this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.